had my first baby at 15. Now I'm due to give birth to my second baby in just over a week. I've done a bit of self-reflection on my first labour and a lot of the experiences I had, especially in hospital after birth. So he was due on the 21st of March, which was actually my 16th birthday, but he ended up coming 3 days early on the 18th of March 2019. It ended up being an induced labour because I had gone in hospital 3 times and I refused to leave the hospital without giving birth to the baby because I was in latent labour for about 6 days, I think it was, and I couldn't do the pain anymore. I was going in and out of hospital and I was not leaving that hospital without a baby that time. We were overnight there for the first night and then we got discharged because the contractions slowly went away and I wasn't dilated, so there was no reason for me to stay there. So my contractions started again the day after we got discharged and we went back in. I was screaming in pain. I was honestly, you don't know what contractions feel like until you experience them. And I went into hospital again and I still hadn't progressed at all. So again, we stayed overnight that time and we got discharged again because the contractions stopped again and I wasn't dilated. I think I got up to about 2 to 3 centimetres and then they sent me home because there was nothing that they could do. I was already having gas and air every time I was going in, already had the pethidine, but nothing was working. So when I went in on the 17th of March, which was the final time I went in because I refused to leave without having this baby, I said, you know what, induce me, I'm not doing this anymore. I was exhausted, I'd barely slept. This was, day 5 of being in latent labour, having contractions, but not progressing at all. So that night on the 17th, they did break my waters. And I think that started a little bit more contractions and started to progress a little bit, but it was very, very slowly. It got to the late afternoon on the 18th and they finally induced me. I had it through the hormone drip. I just vividly remember a few hours beforehand I had KFC because my dad had come into hospital to see how I was and he bought me KFC. And not long after I started the hormone drip, that came straight back up. So at about 7 p.m. that night, I finally got the epidural and I was still only 5 centimetres dilated. I was on day 6 of labour and I was still only 5 centimetres dilated after having my waters broken, being induced. I had the full works and my body just did not want to give birth. I wasn't breathing through these contractions very well. I was not dealing with the pain, so it could have been the amount of stress that my body was under. The epidural did seem to help because I had it done at 7 o'clock at that night and then I was 10 centimetres and started pushing. I want to say about 12 minutes past 11 that night on the 18th. And then my son was born at 23:23, so 23 minutes past 11 at night. And then his dad got sent home and I went on to the postnatal ward. This is where everything kind of went sideways. So my son really struggled with his latch. He wasn't tongue-tied or anything. I couldn't traditionally breastfeed him across my front. He had to go underneath me. So the midwives gave me nipple shields, but they only gave them to me for 1 feed. And then after that, they basically said that he has to latch or like he's basically got to starve until he latches, which I was absolutely appalled by. Like I was 15 years old in this hospital alone and they were not helping at all. They just took the nipple shield away and basically said, you know, he's got to latch or he's going to starve to the point where he needs to latch and he'll learn to latch. I sent, I think it was my dad to Boots to go get some nipple shields. He had no clue what he was looking for, bless him. I said, look, I'm exhausted. He's been crying all night. He's not feeding properly and the midwives won't help me feed him. Just did not feel safe and respected in there. I felt like I had no support. So much more relaxed when I got home. We used nipple shields for months after because he never got a proper latch. It was tough, but we're 5 years past it. Now I'm 21 and I should be giving birth to my second in the next week or 2, hopefully. Yeah, that is pretty much my birth story with my first son when I had him at 15.